You're listening to the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi and Small Town Music. I'm Chris Davis, your host. You've seen the posters, and you may have even caught his act once or twice, or maybe many times more. Ralph Miller has built a catalog of music that includes some of the most enduring music of the 20th century. He's brought a blend of singer-songwriter material combined with covers of some of the greats of the rock and roll era to central Mississippi for decades. And now he's branched out. In this interview, you'll find out what has taken him largely away from the Jackson Metro to explore other parts of Mississippi, and how he's channeled his own musical ideas and notions into his own brand of music. Ralph Miller is not a man of many words. He prefers to let his act speak for itself. But he granted us a few minutes, and now you benefit. Ralph Miller on the Blues and Arts Hour. So I have seen you play in various places. I think I remember you playing at Davidson's in Canton one time when that place was open, and I remember really remarking that I thought you had an unusual set list and played a lot of stuff that I grew up on, that I grew up listening to. And by the way, I'm out of my generation. I grew up on my mom's record collection, so I grew up on that kind of music, even though I'm 46. But I remembered your set list, and then I recently saw an advertisement for you playing somewhere else, and I thought it would be nice to talk to you about your set list and what you play and why you play it. So I wanted to get into first what your background is. You're from Vicksburg, right?
Yeah, born and raised Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Tell me a little bit about your musical background.
Well, I basically grew up in a musical family. My immediate family, cousins, uncles, aunts. I've just been surrounded by music most of my life.
How did you get interested in playing the guitar?
Well, I was singing at first. I was in the choir, and I just decided in my spare time that I wanted to learn how to play guitar to accompany my singing.
So it just kind of was a natural thing. It was a tool to kind of express yourself.
Yes, it was just a hobby at first, but I just never imagined that I would be playing music, and it just happened.
So when you first picked up the guitar and you started playing and practicing, what kind of music was it that you naturally were drawn to trying to play?
I mean, I've always been drawn into 60s music.
And what is it about that particular generation that interests you?
Most of it was just fun, peace-loving, easy to understand.
Yeah, kind of a simpler time in the music field.
Yes, it was. Still is.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the great thing about 60s music is that it encompasses so many different kinds of, so many different genres. I mean, for instance, if you're listening to a 60s station, you can hear Stan Getz and his particular brand of jazz, or you can hear the Beatles, or you can hear British Invasion, and you can hear the Byrds. You can hear everything all the way up to Jimi Hendrix. I mean, it's just so many different styles in that decade.
Yes, you can.
Well, tell me about some of your favorites.
Well, I like the Beatles. I like a little bit of Chad and Jeremy, Peter and Gordon.
Yeah, these guys were kind of a little bit on the mellower side.
Yeah.
Something that I've noticed about your set list and your catalog is that you do tend to gravitate toward the mellow side of things, and I don't want to call it easy listening because I think that puts it into kind of a kind of a negative connotation there, a negative idiom. But I think it
not for me.
Not for you. Okay. Well, you don't mind that label then.
No, I don't.
How many years did it take you to develop your catalog once you started playing and singing?
Well, about 5 years, and it just continued to grow.
How many years have you been performing now in public?
35.
Have you been in Vicksburg all that time?
No. I lived in Jackson. That's mostly where the music scene was happening, and so I was just trying to get into it, and so luckily I did.
Yeah, and you ended up playing alongside a lot of Jackson staples like Steve Chester and people like that. You see those posters up, and you see Ralph Miller up alongside those. What did you think about being in that scene with people like that, people who are just well known in this area?
Well, I was grateful to a lot of them, like Steve Chester, Johnny Crocker, Sherman Lee Dillon, Duff Durrell. They were all pretty good about letting me play when they were taking breaks.
Now that's an interesting story. Mm-hmm. So that's how you got started, was playing during their breaks?
Yeah, as I was developing into my own shows, if I would come to some of their shows on my nights off, they were always kind enough to invite me up on stage.
How long would you play during those breaks?
I mean, it was good for about 3 or 4 songs.
And what was the audience response like during that time?
Well, I was always getting a good reception. And then, like the owner and management would approach me for gigs. So,
what are some of the most prestigious places around the Jackson area that you've played?
George Street Grocery, the Iron Horse Grill.
Do you have a particular favorite?
Well, I enjoyed playing mostly the Two Sisters. Well, it used to be down on the corner of Congress and George Street.
What kind of musical education do you have? Was it were you all self-educated, self-taught?
Well, I mean, when I was in high school and college, I was in the choir. I've been in a few church choirs.
Did you ever learn to read music?
Yes, I did, particularly when I was learning how to play guitar.
Did you ever learn how to play like a band instrument or anything, or a stringed instrument or anything like that besides a guitar?
Well, the only other instrument I play around on is the harmonica. Yeah. But I've never really done it on stage. Just mainly stuck with the guitar and singing.
If you decide someday to stop this little game that you are playing, I'm gonna tell you what my heart's been dying to be saying. Just like a ghost, you've been haunting my dreams, so I propose on Halloween. Love is kinda crazy with a spooky little girl like you.
Coming up, Ralph Miller on the disappearance of the singer-songwriter on the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB. You've got the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi and Small Town Music. I'm Chris Davis, your host. And on this edition, you're spending some time with singer-songwriter Ralph Miller of Vicksburg.
It's the time of the season when love runs high, and it's time, give it to me easy. Let me try with pleasure hands, take you to the sun, to the promised land, show you everyone. It's the time of the season for loving. What's your name? Who's your daddy? Is he rich like me? Has he taken any time to show you what you need to live? Tell it to me slowly, to me what I really want to know. It's the time of the season for loving.
In seeing some of your YouTube videos of late when you've played, you have some sort of accompaniment there. Is that, I hear it, I hear what sounds like a keyboard or strings or something. Is that triggered by a pedal?
Well, actually, it's triggered by the Mellotron 9 pedal. It's got 9 different instrument backgrounds on it, but I particularly like using the flute background.
You are able to play a keyboard instrument to program that.
Well, it's just mainly in the pedal.
So that just goes along with whatever you're playing on the guitar then?
Yes, it does.
Interesting how those work, because I see a lot of musicians, doing stuff like using loop pedals and accompanying themselves that way, but you're able to do it pretty much on your own and stand as just a man and the guitar for the most part.
Yes, I am.
What's your name? Who's your daddy? Is he rich like me? Has he taken any time to show you what you need to live? Tell it to me slowly, to me what I really want to know. It's the time of the season for loving.
One thing I wanted to talk about was this generation of singer-songwriters that you and I think you and I both enjoy. I think we have that in common. And, I was watching a video the other day, and this really kind of drove it home. It was a video of Graham Nash and Judy Collins and Art Garfunkel, and they were singing Imagine. And Art Garfunkel had to come on stage with a cane. And let's just say these singers that are so revered and that I love listening to so much showed their age a lot in that video. And it just kind of brought home the point that this generation of songwriters, there are not too many of them left. Have you noticed those people that you grew up listening to fading away?
Yes, I have, and it's sad.
What's the reaction when you see stuff like that, or you hear of them passing away? Because we've only got a few of them left.
Yeah, it's just like it's pretty much like losing a member of the family.
Last year we lost Jimmy Buffett and Tina Turner and one of my favorites, Gordon Lightfoot.
Yes.
All in the span of just a couple of months. It was just to age and disease. And that does drive it home that these guys are human. And that's what they were known for anyway, is being human. Those are the kind of songs that they wrote and sang.
I agree.
We have talked a little bit about it, but let's expand on it a little bit about your catalog. What is it that makes you, that drives you to sing these songs that people seem to relate to so much?
Like I said, I just enjoy listening to them a lot, and then once I learned how to play them on guitar, it just made it even better.
When you were first learning these songs, and this is the way I did it, and I don't know if too many people do it this way, but I actually put on the CDs at the time, because it was in the 90s. I put on the CDs, and I got a music book to my favorite CDs and just looked at the chord structures and played along with them. Is that close to the way you did it?
Yes, I did, but back in my time, it was the cassette player. Then some of the radios, that the oldie stations, I would just tape some of their programs and go back and just pick which songs I wanted to do.
Did you listen to the Tunes Till 2 program?
Yes, I did.
I kind of figured that maybe you were a patron of David Adcock and Sergio and some of those guys, some of the people who actually picked and played records that they wanted to play on the radio in Jackson back in the day.
Yeah. But there was another oldie station, Oldies 94, that played more of the 60s and 70s music that I enjoyed listening to.
Yeah, I remember Oldies 94 very well. In fact, my dad and I, we did a paper route, and that was it was early in the morning, and that was the station that we always had it on. You could hear everything on that station, from the Everly Brothers to Martha and the Vandellas, and
yes, you could.
You would hear, even in some into the 70s, but not too much.
Mm-hmm. This was mostly our early 70s, which focused more on the acoustic guitar.
What do you find to be most adaptable? Because you mentioned the Beatles, and a lot of the stuff that they play is, most everything that they play is guitar-based.
Yes, it is.
The thing about the Beatles is some of the stuff that they were doing was not just three-chord structure. It was a little bit more difficult.
Just like Del Shannon, they focus mostly on using minor chords in their songs.
Yeah, Del Shannon with Runaway and Hats Off to Larry.
Keep Searching.
Yeah.
Stranger in Town.
Now, you mentioned those two. Those are two that are, I don't want to say forgotten, because I know them and you know them, but a lot of the so-called oldie stations, and I think, even about satellite radio, they have kind of forgotten that couple of songs and don't. They only play the ones that were in the top 10, but you go a little deeper than that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all of Del Shannon's music was really incredible.
What do you find so incredible about it? Is it the falsetto or the minor chord structures?
Mostly the minor chord structures, because most of your early songs like that was just using just basic major chords, and Del incorporated the minor chords in a lot of his songs.
Coming up, you'll hear how songwriters like Del Shannon and Buddy Holly influenced Ralph Miller to write his own music. That's coming up on the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB. You're listening to the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi and Small Town Music. I'm Chris Davis, your host, and you've been listening to Ralph Miller this hour, our guest on the Blues and Arts Hour this week. And in case you've never had the pleasure of hearing a Ralph Miller original, that is coming up in just a minute. But first, Ralph Miller talks more about why he loves the music of Del Shannon and Buddy Holly, and what those early rock and rollers mean for him and for his musical catalog. You think about comparing that to something like That's All Right, Mama, with Elvis Presley, and that was that 3-chord structure, all major chords, that rock and roll was built on. Oh, yeah, Buddy Holly. I mean, do you play stuff by Buddy Holly?
Yes, I do.
I find that Buddy Holly, to me, he was one of those innovators. He was a guy who was not just that 3-chord structure, even though some of his early hits were. He got into stuff like Raining in My Heart, and I think, too, about the orchestrated stuff.
Every Day.
With the Glockenspiel.
And True Love Ways.
That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah, True Love Ways, because there were a lot of minor chords in that, and a diminished chord or two that I can think of. He
was a musical genius that really wasn't given enough credit, in my opinion.
And still, with more people who are leaving us who were influenced by him, there's less of a chance that he'll get that credit too.
Yes, it is, and it's sad.
I don't mean to be melancholy about the whole thing, but, it is something that's been on my mind lately, because there are so few people left who are so appreciative of these early rock and rollers and people like Del Shannon. What I think about is, Tom Petty embraced Del Shannon's music.
Yes, he did.
Even produced Del Shannon in the 80s.
Yes, he did.
And Tom Petty also, you can hear the influence from Del Shannon and the Byrds and people like that in his music.
And Roy Orbison.
Oh, yeah, indeed. That was a great group. I guess the 80s were kind of the last hurrah for both Roy and Del Shannon, as they both of them really joined the Traveling Wilburys, but Del never really got to do it.
It's a shame. He would have been a good member of them.
Let's talk a little bit about what people can expect when they come to see your show and where you play these days.
Well, right now, the Delta, North Mississippi, and parts of the coast and parts of Louisiana is keeping me pretty busy.
That is something that I've noticed, is that I don't see your name as much in the Jackson area anymore.
Well, the Jackson area is really kind of becoming very oversaturated. Got some places that are still just steady using the same people, and kind of hard getting in the lineup, so I just have to expand out.
Do you enjoy the travel?
Yes, I do.
What is it that you like about it?
I mean, just getting to see different places around Mississippi I haven't seen, and I just enjoy traveling.
Have you ever lived anywhere else besides Mississippi?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so this is your home, and traveling and playing to Mississippians is your bag.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, Ralph, what is it that you want people to know about you whenever they see a Ralph Miller poster up?
Well, just that I'm here. Like to enjoy doing my music, and I'm basically the type I like playing it for people when they've had a rough day at work. Just they can leave with some kind of joy and happiness.
It's entertainment.
Yes.
Because a lot of people take themselves really seriously, and rightly so, because singer-songwriters tend to be, fairly serious people, and I guess that's fair. But in the end, they're entertainers.
Yes, we are.
So, have you written your own music?
Oh yes, I've been writing original material since 2005.
Oh, have you gotten to record any of it professionally?
Oh, yes, I have.
And where can people find that music?
Well, on my YouTube channel, and then I'm about to get some of my music on Spotify.
Okay. Have you found that to be an easy process, or is it difficult?
It's not too difficult.
When you record, I mean, did you go to a studio or did you do it in home? How did you get that done?
Well, I have gone to a studio, and then I have my own recording equipment.
Moonlight beaming on the reservoir, like it's done so many nights before. You and me dancing and having fun, being thankful to be the lucky one, to be holding you tight under a Mississippi moonlight. You and me, stars shining bright, holding you tight under a Mississippi moonlight. Two hearts beating is one tonight. Moonlight in Vicksburg on the Mississippi River. All my love, so glad to give her. The love we share so strong, in each other's arms, where we belong. Holding you tight under a Mississippi moonlight. You and me, stars shining bright, holding you tight under a Mississippi moonlight. Two hearts beating, it's one tonight. Alongside the next train, moonlight glowing down upon your face, feeling good, feeling satisfied, knowing it's you I've got by my side, holding you tight under a Mississippi moonlight. You and me, stars shining bright, holding you tight under a Mississippi moonlight. Two hearts beating, it's one tonight. Like we stepped out in the moonlight on this hot Mississippi summer night. Just you and me sharing the night together, hoping many more will carry on forever. you tight under a Mississippi moonlight. You and me, stars shining bright. Holding you tight under a Mississippi moonlight. Two hearts beating as one tonight.
Mississippi Moonlight, an original from Ralph Miller, who, as you can tell, is a Vicksburg native. You've got the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB. You've got the Blues and Arts Hour on 103.9 WYAB, brought to you every Friday by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi and Small Town Music. I'm Chris Davis, your host. In 2005, Ralph Miller, who's been performing around his native Mississippi for 35 years, began writing his own material. He's been able to lay some of it down in professional recordings and says you will be able to soon find that on Spotify. Until then, you can hear some of that on his YouTube channel.
You're always there, with fresh air. You got a style drives me wild. You have desire, sets my soul on fire. I could love you to the moon and back. I could love you to the moon and back. Also fascinating, quite a temptation, can break my concentration. You have desire, sets my soul on fire. I could love you and back, could really love you to the moon and back. Desire sets my soul on fire. I can love you to the moon and back. I can love you to the moon and back. I can love you back, really love you to the moon and back.
When you come up with a song idea, do you just throw it down?
Yes, I do. I mean, I have all kinds of influences. I could be cruising down the highway and a song will come in mind, and then I've seen Lifetime movies, and just something I've seen on TV will put me in mind for a song.
When you compose music, do you find yourself using those minor chord progressions that have been so influential on you?
Yes, I do.
How has your music been received, your original music been received by the audiences that you play to?
Well, I've been getting a lot of good positive comments on it.
You know, people pretty happy when you play originals.
Yes, they are.
One thing I've found lately is that almost everybody who plays out, whether it's in Jackson or in the Delta or wherever, they seem to, it seems to be kind of a credibility thing nowadays for people to have original music. Do you find it to be something that's kind of a necessity now?
In some places I do, and then there are some places that want just strict original music.
That's interesting. What kind of venues are they? Are they tend to be smaller places, or because people aren't necessarily going to original music for dancing or that kind of entertainment?
Well, one of the main reasons that how a place like ASCAP and BMI, you have to pay that fee for to have live music or just play music in your place at all. You have some places that'll decide to skip around paying that fee by just requiring only original music.
That is a point that I have never heard anybody say. That I've never heard anybody say that on this show before. So good point there. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time. People have asked me about having you on. I wanted to do it. I wanted to find out all about you and who you were, and I think we've kind of gotten that covered.
Well, thank you for having me.
An old cowboy went riding out one dark and windy day. On a ridge he rested, then he went along his way. When all at once a mighty herd of red-eyed cows he saw, plowing through the rugged sky, and up the cloud he gone. The branch was still on fire and their hoofs were made of steel. The horns were black and shiny and their hot breath he could feel. Both the field went through him as he thundered through the sky. Saw the riders coming home. He heard the mournful cry. Yippee-yi-yo, yippee-yi-yay. Those riders in the sky.
You've got the Blues and Arts Hour every Friday morning at 9 right here on WIAB, brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi and Small Town Music. Tune in next Friday right here on 103.9 WIAB.